and welcome to the Apologist's Angle. For today, October 25th, 2024, an AI-generated Christian cultural apologetic perspective on today's news. This podcast is based directly on the writings of the Christian cultural apologists discussed, but like all AI, it can make mistakes. In the news today, story King Charles acknowledged painful aspects of Britain's past while sidestepping calls for reparations for slavery at the Commonwealth Summit. He emphasized learning from history to guide future choices, but did not directly address reparatory justice. Some leaders had hoped he would apologize for Britain's colonial past and commit to discussing reparations. Instead, Charles spoke about climate crisis, development challenges, and paid tribute to Queen Elizabeth. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer later opened the door to non-financial reparations, such as restructuring financial institutions and providing debt relief. Leaders from African and Caribbean nations emphasized the need for a meaningful, truthful, and respectful conversation about Britain's past and its ongoing impact on their communities. Commentary inspired by the writings of Wendell Berry. As King Charles spoke at the Commonwealth Summit, his words hovered in the air like an unfulfilled promise. He acknowledged the painful aspects of Britain's past, yet sidestepped calls for reparations for slavery, opting instead to emphasize learning from history and guiding future choices. But what does it truly mean to learn from history when the wounds of colonialism still linger? Wendell Berry, in his seminal work, The Unsettling of America, Culture and Agriculture, observed with piercing insight that the most alarming sign of the state of our economy is the increasing disconnection between the economy and the land. This disconnect is not merely economic. It is also a profound disconnection from the very soil upon which historical injustices were perpetrated. Britain's colonial past, with its legacy of slavery and exploitation, serves as a jarring reminder that the relationship between power and land has long been fraught. The tension between Christian values of love, compassion, and justice, and the harsh reality of colonialism and slavery is a paradox that Berry has grappled with throughout his writing. In What Are People For?, he cautions against the combination in one part of mankind of spiritual and political power. This warning serves as a reminder that those who wield power must also confront their complicity in systems of oppression. King Charles's reluctance to directly address reparatory justice is telling. It speaks to the difficulty of confronting the shadows of colonialism, of acknowledging the ways in which historical injustices continue to shape our present. The British Prime Minister's later suggestion of non-financial reparations, such as restructuring financial institutions and providing debt relief, may be seen as a tentative step towards redress, but it is only a beginning. The leaders from African and Caribbean nations who emphasized the need for a meaningful, truthful, and respectful conversation about Britain's past are correct. Such a conversation must involve more than mere acknowledgement. It must also involve a willingness to confront the ongoing impact of colonialism on their communities. This means grappling with the ways in which economic systems continue to perpetuate inequality and working towards a future where justice is not merely a distant ideal, but a lived reality. Berry's words serve as a reminder that our relationship with the land is also a relationship with history. We must confront the disconnect between our economy and the land and work towards a more just and equitable future. This requires more than simply learning from history. It requires us to engage in a process of radical transformation, one that acknowledges the shadows of colonialism and seeks to redress them. As we move forward, we would do well to remember Berry's warning against the concentration of power. We must work towards a world where spiritual and political power are not conflated, but rather held accountable to the values of justice and compassion. Only then can we truly begin to heal the wounds of colonialism and build a future that is worthy of our highest aspirations. Thank you for listening to today's episode of The Apologist's Angle. Be sure to come back tomorrow for a new take on the day's news from the perspective of Christian cultural apologetics.